Hey, welcome to Clarksville Vibe the Show. I am your host, Kevin Kennedy Jr. Thanks for jumping on this next episode of the show where we tell the stories of the people in Clarksville who make this place the best place to live in America. As always, super excited about our episode that we have planned for you today. I think our guest is someone that you'll recognize. You see his face around a lot of the cool events that are going on in town. His product is unique. It is Chillz Italian Ice. Chris Ham. He's going to be bringing his story with us today to tell us lots of great things. As always, we love for you to interact with us online. Share your story, share some of our posts, leave us some comments. If you can leave us a review on any of your podcast platforms, that really helps just spread our message. That's how this podcast spreads, or text it to a friend, whatever you choose to do to help us spread this message, telling the great stories about Clarksville that make this place an awesome place to live and raise our families. So without any further introduction, Chris, thanks for hopping on, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
My guy.
Appreciate you.
So I've got to be honest with you. You know, the reason that you have been so connected to our family is my wife is your number one fan, without a doubt.
The grand cupcake maker, right?
Yeah, she is the grand cupcake maker. She tips her hat to the grand Italian ice maker.
Wow.
She is a connoisseur. She tries it everywhere she goes, but there is nothing like Chillz. So we're super glad to have your business, but also your personality that comes with it in Clarksville. It's really a blessing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, you got to surprise everybody. Let's just punch them in the face right now. Chris Ham, tell us about it.
Hey, Chris Ham is literally a verb. It's Chris hustling and moving.
Yeah.
Because that's who I am. I'm always, trying to get it done. And if you was on the inside of my business, you would really understand that that's a perfect
Hustling and
acronym.
moving. I love
Hustling
that.
and moving.
Yeah, because I had to ask you, man, what's your last name? I know you by Chris. I know you as Chillz. I see you everywhere we go, and you're like, no, this is what people call me. This is what it means.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a true thing of what I know about you from the outside, hustling and moving. You said when you kind of walked in here to record this episode, we're recording it early in the morning for most people, 8:30. You said you walked out of the shop when?
It was like 6 a.m. this morning.
All night long.
All night long.
Yeah.
It
So what does
has to
an overnight work look like for you? What are you doing during that process?
Well, the process of making Italian ice is a little different than some of the ices. I call it. I'm biased, but it's literally the premium ice. So if you would see the flavors that we have, the cherry, the blue raspberry, they're the fun flavors that hit the street more often. But we sell our product exactly to restaurants, and it's sorbet.
Wow.
All we do is change the flavor.
Okay.
Oh, and not so that unique texture, that smoothness, it goes great with after dinner steak, and not. Except we make it into a grapefruit or a pink champagne type flavor or something, and restaurants sell it for a lot more.
Yeah, that's all right though. You're serving that purpose. Yeah. So I'm curious, when did you first kind of sample this yourself and realize this is something that I feel like I can do and I would find some passion in and be able to contribute to the community in this way?
Well, it comes from where I'm from as far as the texture of it.
Okay.
There's a few different textures of Italian ice, and if you go up north, where I'm from Philadelphia,
okay,
originally. So South Philly, it's
that's near and dear to your heart.
Cheesesteaks,
yep,
soft pretzels, Italian ice.
Well,
we call it water ice. So.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, that's interesting. I've always wanted to visit Philly. I've never been, right? I'm kind of a history nerd. I love the early kind of Continental Congress kind of history that happens in Philly. I have never really had a true Philly cheesesteak, but now that you tell me that Italian ice is from there, I know I can get Adonia to sign on like this. So we'll go and sample all the Italian ice up there in Philly. I didn't know that was a staple from that area.
Oh, you can't go there and not get that.
Okay, so this is a childhood thing. So when did you start making it?
Actually, I got in the business. So now I've been in the business 7-8 years. But when I first started, I went into it as far as setting it up akin to most franchises.
Okay.
But due to the fact that I was planning it from, inception, from brain, I want to do this
from scratch.
I literally bought it first.
Okay.
But it's very expensive to try to, buy it from someone else and then work a full business out of it. So I knew that eventually I was going to make it. But the first year, I bought it from a Philadelphia franchise.
Okay.
And worked on just the art of it. How do you, get it out as far as distribution? Yeah. And so I bought, carts that literally, my cart can run 12 to 15 hours off of electricity. It's just, it's made that well in 90-degree heat. I needed that.
You got to have it. That's right.
I was doing Little League games, and I probably only used the generator a handful of times since I, had the business, especially when I was on the road. So once I got that down pat, being able to serve hundreds of people in 12 hours and stuff like that, then I said, okay, that's not going to work. So let me make it. My first Italian.
Chuckling at yourself right now because you remember. I'm sure you remember some errors. The deep breath, the sigh.
The first mango is near and dear to my heart because it has the failure rate was high.
Okay.
I made it, and I thought, like a lot of people, that you call a company, get some flavors, and it's simple. It's flavor, sugar, water, right?
Yeah.
Threw that together. It didn't come out like I wanted it to. It had a crazy little aftertaste and different things. So after, beating up the bed for a minute and having my daughter tell me, Dad, it's not that bad. I got back to it.
Yeah, that first failure is admittedly, that time where you're like, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Why am I doing that? And really anybody who starts a business gets there, right? Sometimes it's before you open. In your journey, it was after you were open. You had a, client base that was building and you're thinking, why am I trying to start creating it on my own? But everybody's got to get past that first failure.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the first failure is life. You learn that. In fact, the funny thing is, before I failed, one of the people that I called, one of the companies I called to get the flavor, and I actually asked. I tried to get the cheat code. I said, okay, so I'm buying this amount of flavor. Could you give me the recipe? Good recipe. And the company had been in, operation for years and years. Yeah. And so I said, I'm gonna get, this is how it's gonna work. She said, I heard that over the phone, and I was like,
what you mean?
I was worried.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'd rather not. And I said, you'd rather not? What do you mean? And she said, well, it's better if you just figure it out.
Okay. So she threw it up.
I muted the phone.
Yeah.
Looked at my daughter. I was like, what did this woman just say?
Yeah. How much product am I buying from you?
Right.
And you're not going to help me put it all together?
But it was the best thing she could ever do.
Yeah. Because she put it in your hands.
She put it in my hands.
That's a parenting lesson too right there. Because, sometimes they've been calling you saying, Dad, how do I do this? And you look at him and say, this is one of those opportunities that I'm going to let you figure it out.
It's why we pray, right? Because we want the cheat code.
That's right.
Can we get help?
Yeah, Lord, help us with this. And Lord says, I've given you the people, the blessings. My spirit indwells in you. You can figure this out.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, after that, me being me, I said, okay, what do I know about Italian ice? I grew up with it. So what do I know about it? I know the texture. I know what one out of it. I thought I wanted the flavor tones and notes from the previous what I had known. But once I started working with it, so I said, I can make this a little better.
Okay.
And so I'm never satisfied.
Right.
I'm always trying to make
that's
it better.
What creators, when you have a unique product and you're creating it, most people that I know who are like that, they have that desire to just continually improve because you're not satisfied with where you are now. You can try something new, get something better, do whatever it is. Even with a product that seems similar, there's so much variety in what you can create.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm actually there at night, when I don't have, just because I'm so nerded out on trying to, I can get a different flavor out of this.
The chemist.
Yeah. And you really do. You know, it's all in your head. Once you get the recipes down, you know, the process.
Yeah.
Then it really is a system in your head. You're like, oh, if I do this, I do that. If I take it away, because it really is. Some days, you know, we'll have 90-some degrees, high 90s, and those type of days, sometimes I have to adjust my my recipe, because if I'm on the truck, and it doesn't matter how good the freezer is, you open it a bunch of times. I need to make that product be able to stand up, and I'm real anal about the consistency of my product. I don't want it to get to that slushy, you know. So I'm always shifting.
And that's one of the things that I think sets your product apart locally, is the consistency among all the flavors, among all the different times that we've had it, whether we've gone to your shop out on Fort Campbell Boulevard, or we've seen you on a 90-degree day or on a 60-degree day at an event with 200 people or 2,000 people. It doesn't really matter. We get that consistency. And my wife is pretty critical, to be honest. Like, she doesn't stop. She never eats slushies. She never eats, you know, pour over syrup on ice. That is not her thing. But a true water ice, a true Italian ice, the kind that you make, that is what she's going to stop for. You have a 0% drive-by rate with our family. You know, it's like we see that rainbow truck. You're like, what, really, right now? Yes, we're not driving by the truck. We're not walking by the truck. Like, it's a 100% hit rate. So I would encourage anybody who's listening, watching, you know, market, you know, go follow you on Facebook, Instagram, any kind of social media that you've got, you know, figure out where you're going to be, what events you're going to be at. You definitely got to try it. But I am curious, you know, part of our show is highlighting the people, the personalities that are behind it, and then highlighting some of the struggles, which we've talked a little bit about just in the creation of the product. But I also know there's probably been some struggles and some failures that come along with the business model, because you go from, you know, shipping in a product, selling it, to, you know, doing that out of a truck. Then you add a brick and mortar. And I think you've told me before you've added now a second truck, or working towards that. And so what were some of the challenges that I think the general public may not realize when you're creating this business, this franchise model from scratch? You don't have anyone to follow. What were the lessons that you learned along the way?
To always persevere. You know, once you have a dream, you know, once it's in your head, and this is something that, you know, is you know, was kind of put in me from a very early age. And I don't come from, you know, how you say, any real means as far as financially. So a lot of times it comes from, you know, deep within. If you want to get something done, you're going to have to push past the easy part of being able to buy stuff all the time, or you know, reach out and purchase, and or, you know, even family being able to give you stuff. So I've had that from a very early age. My first bikes I made, you know.
Your bike?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Wow.
That was a neighborhood thing. You sit around and you talk with your buddies, y'all, you know, you making bikes. Like, you got forks, you got handlebars, you got, so, you know, and we rode just like any other kid would, but you had to make it. Okay. And you know, and so my hands, you know, that's a big part of who I am. I spent a lot of years in home improvements. That literally about 30 years off and on. You know?
Wow.
Even when I was in the military, you know, that was the brunt of what I did, a lot of with my hands and whatnot. And crazy enough, with all that, I wound up working in healthcare for many years.
Okay.
I mean,
life's journey takes you in some different places.
Some curves that you never even suspect. But the thing is, once you figure out the process, you know, that's what life is. You know, it's all about the process. Once you kind of figure it out, no matter where you go, it's similar. Yeah. You know, it's always dissecting, and so working with your hands is all about that. Is troubleshooting, and once you get that down, it's almost anything you can do. Wow.
I mean, it's a great lesson. It's what you want your kids to learn, right? The ability to navigate a tough situation and create their own solution for it. Yeah. It sounds like it's just been the story of your life. Just new problem, new solution. Let's get it. Go fail along the way, and no telling how many times that bike fell apart when you tried to spin that
Yeah.
wheel first 2 or 3 times.
Oh, we rode with no brakes because that was the hardest thing to learn.
Okay.
How do you get these brakes? Well, we don't need put your foot on the back tire. Slow it down.
Was there anybody kind of in your early childhood, up there in Philly that just played a vital role in kind of supporting you, or that you went to, kind of constantly for your support?
Strong women.
Yeah.
Literally. I don't think, I tout myself as a strong stand-up guy, can handle, almost any situation, but I get that from watching strong women, my mother, my grandmother, they're near and dear to my heart. And then all the aunts and whatnot. Yeah, it's one thing to look at guys do stuff. We do certain things a certain way, but women are literally most of the time the backbone of a family, and in a whole different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They keep you in check harder than anybody.
Yeah.
Love you more deeply. Encourage you more beyond what you think you can do. Push you, challenge you.
Will support you through thick and thin.
Yeah.
That's
very profound. You talked to me a little bit about, you said when we were coming up here, you're always chasing yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Always.
So when you operate a business kind of solo, employees kind of come and go, but you're the person that, when the event is tomorrow and the employee calls out sick, the product's not made, always chasing yourself. Where'd you come up with that phrase, and what does it mean to you?
Truth is truth. Sometimes, the truth just speaks for itself. You don't have to come up with the truth. It just is right in front of you. And that's literally what happens a lot of times. Everything you just said, there's so many variables to operating a business. And I'm not one that likes to all the time reinvent the wheel. So when I didn't have any, specific mentors to go to when I was creating the business, I looked at, the business models that were already out there, that had been out there. So even though I sell Italian Ice, I looked at McDonald's. I looked at Burger King. Chillz emulates Pepsi. Looked at it. So, as far as where I'm trying to go, most of the businesses that we hold near and dear to our heart, they started from garages. They started from, just
Amazon from his garage.
Exactly.
You think,
Google,
man, wow,
all these,
what did he do?
Yeah, Microsoft. Yeah. They start from one bedroom type, because it literally has the inception is just an idea. It's just and then you roll with it. But yeah, a lot of times, it's clear off a table in your house or something. And
like a product that you're talking about, that starts with one person. I think of those Sister Schubert rolls. Like that was one lady that started this, and then now she has developed that product line to such a widespread distribution that it's in every grocery store, and it's consistent taste, consistent flavor, like it's not something that I'm like beating down the grocery store to go find, but everybody knows who those are. Exactly. And it was one lady that created this entire brand. So it's interesting to me, and it's challenging to me to hear you talk about, kind of a future vision for where you want to take this business, because a lot of times we get stuck in kind of small thinking of what can I just do to kind of corner the market here. Well, I think we'd say you've got the market on your product cornered here locally, the undefeated champion of all dessert competitions. Like you don't even get opponents anymore, because they're not trying to get second place to Chillz. But to hear you talk a little bit about your story, your vision, and what you could see as possibilities moving forward, I feel like really encouraging. But I do want to talk about some events, like that's obviously a key part of your business is to get out. What are some of your favorite types of events? Because obviously, from a business perspective, different events affect you in different ways. And you shared with me before, it's like, man, you would think that just showing up to Heritage Park out on soccer day would be the dynamite. But I found it to be better for me at a different type of event. So give us a little insight into like, what do you have the most fun doing? What's kind of the one where you're never going to turn it down because that this is going to be kind of the profitable side of things?
And that's not to put down, the people here. This
Not at
I
all.
get a lot of support on the park side. The soccer field was the goal.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh yeah, when it was just
So
in my
many
head, I
kids.
was like, oh, all these kids. Oh, when I start selling it, I'm gonna make a mint. We got professional soccer parents,
Yeah.
and they taught me something.
Tell them
No,
what they
we bring
teach
our
you.
own Gatorade.
Yeah.
We bring
They
got
come
a backpack.
through with the coolers. Yeah.
coolers.
They've got their own generator.
Yes, I'm like, what is this? So they taught me.
They come prepared.
Yeah, they come prepared.
Yeah.
Everything, but I tell you, my first start was Little League games. Like my first dip was March 24th, 2015.
Okay.
Right.
It's almost
Yeah.
over 7 years ago.
Mhm. That was my first dip, and I was at a park in Gallatin,
Okay.
and a good friend of mine, Maceo Franklin. So he had me come out, and I was nervous, trying to act like I wasn't.
Yeah.
I get out there, and it broke pretty quick. The people was coming, and I was like, okay, that ice was hard, and it. Have you never have dipped ice? And especially their product is not my product now, so it was a little harder. And if you've never dipped it, it's heck going.
It's
through
a workout.
Yeah,
I never thought of that before.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it though. It was like 9 hours. I was just out there. It was baseball all day, and whole tournament, and that really broke it for me. That I'm where it is, and then we moved from a cart to going into fairs and festivals.
Yeah.
So I really like fairs and festivals, but the problem I would say with those is a lot of times the promoters get into selling real estate. They start telling people
Where your position
come
can
on,
be.
come on. Well, they start just because there's a fee to pay.
Okay.
So come on. You'll be the only one. You'll be the only one.
Oh.
Then you get there and there's 5.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, it's you might be the only Italian ice, but it's 4 shaved ice and a snow cone guy. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. So although I like those, they're a little tricky, with the trust with the promoters.
Sure.
But you can't beat the amount of people and everything. And music fest, I really like music.
Okay.
So you can't live without music.
What are some of the music fests you kind of go to around here in our area?
Well, I used to do a lot in Nashville. Clarksville kind of owns me now. So,
Yeah.
but I used to do a lot on the road from here to like Louisville and whatnot. And a lot of the old school, funk fest, those type. But it was funny. My daughter, I think she got tired of hitting the road, so she said, "Dad, why don't you kind of stay local?" And I said, "What?" I said, "They don't even know you around here, because literally we pack everything up, the tents and everything up in the white van and head on out."
Yeah.
And so yeah, when she decided to push me that way, I bought the truck. Well, I bought the trailer first.
Right.
The trailer that I don't know if you saw it online that I just wrapped. I bought that first.
Okay.
But again, I'm from Philadelphia. I didn't grow up pulling no trailers. So although I
You
bought
had to
it,
learn.
I said, I actually got it from Atlanta. I bought it, got it here, and was like, I don't know if I really want to drive a trailer around.
Right.
Because it is a learning curve.
It's a learning curve.
Let me go buy a truck. So I bought the truck.
But you kept the trailer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Kept the trailer. That's cool.
So yeah.
That's funny. So where did you feel like Clarksville? So you mentioned like over time, maybe you were spread out earlier, and then now your popularity and brand recognition in the Clarksville area has kind of kept you here. When did you feel like that changed? Was there a moment along the process where you're like, wow, I feel like I'm really getting some traction here locally in this town?
Probably the second season after I bought the truck. The first season it was crazy.
Yeah.
I got this beautiful wrap. Sergio Rodriguez Designs.
Yeah, old Sergio.
Yeah, Sergio.
He's crazy, man.
Oh,
does a fantastic job.
Fantastic. I love the guy too. And he wrapped it, and I get out there, and I'm like, I got this big, beautiful wrap. A lot of people don't remember. Just a handful of years ago, Clarksville didn't have a lot of food trucks.
No.
A lot of, especially, wrapped ones just running around. And so I'm like, okay, I got this big, beautiful truck.
Yeah.
I'm riding around, and I'm going to get all these people. Took me a long time, pretty much a whole season. And then people came up, and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, we didn't know what this was. We thought it was snow cone.
Right.
And, shouts out to everybody who sells snow cones, but that's not my product.
It's not your product. It's different.
And so they thought it was that, which says that they're used to it.
Yeah.
They were used to it. So it wasn't nothing that they, whatever, he got a snow cone truck.
Yeah.
When they tasted it, that's when the traction started.
Like,
and
no, sis, this is different.
And that's when it was like people started taking pictures and started rallying up the troops saying, hey, come to this guy. So,
that's awesome.
That's when I decided I ain't got to hit the road no more.
Yeah. Well, legend is, that at the Juneteenth festival this year, you had 2 trucks there.
Oh, yeah.
Lines out the, as far as you can see. They're putting you towards the back because they can't put you towards the front anymore because nobody can get past the line that lines up outside of Chillz.
It's a blessing.
I know that's, at the end of the day, obviously it's a business. It's got to be, you got to generate enough revenue to take care of your expenses and the income that you need to support your family. But I imagine it's a very cool sight to look out and see a line.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You don't take that for granted.
No, never. I mean, the day I take it for granted, the day I make my product, I cheapen my product. I make it just okay. I pull profit to the head of the line and not the quality of the product, which is something I've seen in other franchises.
Yeah.
They, the original owners will sell it, and then if you don't have that connection, then all of a sudden they'll just pull the profit up.
That's it.
And
I was listening to something the other day, and they talked about the different levels of success of first generation versus second generation versus third generation. And like you say, it dilutes it because you've experienced it from the very first time you tried that mango. Yeah. And it's, the passion, the sweat, the time you were pounding on that bed and looking at your daughter like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And you know that you've overcome it. So to be that first generation leader of this business, I'm sure has a lot of satisfaction, but it also has a lot of motivation to continue that maybe somebody else wouldn't necessarily have. If they franchised your brand and your product, they're just trying to operate a profitable business. But when you've created it, you're the first generation. You're the sweat equity behind it all.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's all sweat equity because I'll tell you a big secret about my business. It hasn't received any loans from anyone to be in creation.
Cash basis.
Everything I put into it has literally been out of my pocket.
Wow.
I mean, that's close to me because when I was working in Nashville in at Centennial Medical Center, that's my home. A lot of people down there love it.
What were you doing there?
I worked supporting laparoscopic surgeries.
Okay.
So, but I would work a full day down there, then go and do a Superman, Clark Kent thing in the bathroom, and then jump into my van and might be painting somebody's house in Bellevue or, somewhere down there. And then, 1 o'clock in the morning, drive back here and then be, back on the road to get back down there, 5 something in the morning. And so, to take to gamble, basically, take your money and then flip it into something that you believe in. It is a lot. It's a lot. And then to see it work out, we can laugh and joke, but there's a sentimental part to it, to watch something that was a dream, that started from you, going out trying to find some water ice for your daughters and spring of 2000. That's how, I got here September 99 and spring of 2000. I'm like, hey, let's go out because that's what we do up north.
Right.
Like, hey, we got to get that, water ice. Couldn't find it. And so that's that early inception. Like, oh, man, I could bring it here. So, I planned it 15 years before it hit the ground. Yeah. And that's serious,
Wow.
Yeah.
That little seed was planted. You were still in the military at that time, still doing, lots of things. Went through a season of being a tech with laparoscopic surgeries and home improvement at night, and kind of now fulfilling your dream in this business that you've created. And you get to generate smiles all over town, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
It is, and in Clarksville, I love you. Yeah, deeply. I mean, because once I got here, I actually knew this was home.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew.
And coming from a place like Philly, a lot of people from the military end up staying,
Mm-hmm.
but not everyone does. And to think that from the moment you got here, what do you think was so special about it? What were some of the things that made you realize you wanted to stay?
I had that small town feel.
Yeah.
And it just instantly felt a whole lot safer from where I'm from. I mean, I'm not shy to tell you. You look at the stories of any big city in America, and it comes with a lot of weight. The violence, the just the sardine effect of people, which a lot of people don't understand. That's where violence comes from. That's why you see it rising in Clarksville. Sadly. But the more people you pack in an area, the more angst. Look at the road rage when you're driving down the street.
Yeah.
We used to get around Clarksville. In fact, I still mismanage it sometimes, and I'm sure people today, in Clarksville understand that was here 20 so years ago. When it was just like, 101st was one road, one way that way, one way this way, when Tiny Town was just fields.
Yeah.
Now you feel pimped up going down the road with all the people that's coming in. And, I'm not a native, so I can't be overly mad for people that want to come and stay, but it is different.
It's different.
And that's the reason I stayed for the most part. Because
lots of opportunity.
Different. Oh, man, it loads.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of things in Clarksville, or still a lot of areas that can be filled in Clarksville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I look at it, obviously I'm a pediatric dentist, and,
Doc.
I look at it from this perspective of, we're happy to see new kids move into town, and I get to be a part of some of their first encounters. When you move your family, one of the first things you kind of have to do in that 6 years to a month is find you a dentist, either for your family or for your kids or whatever it is. So I get to meet a lot of new people. And one thing I've been surprised by is you always knew the military traffic was coming in and out, right? People move here, they PCS out, it is what it is. But there's so many people moving here now that are not military affiliated that just chose to call Clarksville home because we've got a great quality of life, great standard of living,
Y'all started putting out stories.
Yeah.
Y'all start telling people.
Yeah. Well, we got to do what we got to do, right? Yeah. Everybody's trying to grow.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the lightning round.
Go ahead.
All right. All right. You're not prepped for these. You weren't prepped for anything. So we just been on the fly. But was there any other name you considered for Chillz?
Yeah, I mean, literally, we went through a dozen. So
okay.
I mean, it was going to be, Philadelphia Ice. It was going to be, Philadelphia Ice Factory.
Yeah.
Philly Water Ice Factory. All kinds of
stuff.
Iterations of it, all the way down to when Puff Daddy was out. We had our mascot was going to be called P. Willie. And he was going to have a gold chain. It was all kinds of stuff. We have a mascot, but chill kid. But it was going to be a polar bear, I think, or something. It was a lot.
That's cool. Well, it's cool to hear, all the creative process that goes into it. Yeah. Do you have a favorite TV series of all time?
Favorite TV series of all time.
Your story sounds like you don't really watch a lot of TV, as neither do I, but do you have one?
Literally, nah, I can't, because you're exactly right. My TVs have dust on them.
Yeah.
Big TV, never
turn it on.
Literally, I just got rid of my old Toshiba 52-inch in my living room because I couldn't bear throwing it away because it never got a lot of usage. Even when I was raising my kids, I didn't, teach them to blast their minds into the TV all the time. I always, got to the point I told them, I said, they making money.
Yeah.
And, so.
We're not watching it. This is what they do to make money. To just wrap you into this thing.
Exactly. So if you do this,
that's a good parenting lesson. Yeah.
So we never really we watched. I mean, I wasn't a warlord over the TV, but just having that kind of air, just like a lot of times if your parents smoke, you smoke and everything. They didn't see me watch a lot of TV, so it's
not what they do.
They didn't do it a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so
my kids don't. They're not too into it. We are kind of sticklers about it in our house. But while we're recording this episode, late August, college football just kicked off. So that is kind of my one time a year. I renew that subscription like that I canceled back in February, like turn this thing back on. Like it's my one thing that I really love to watch. So we'll turn it on for that.
Good stuff.
Are you more of a ask for permission or ask for forgiveness kind of person?
Ask for forgiveness?
Yeah, I already knew that.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, Chris Ham, he's already told us he's asking for permission. He's moving forward and hustling and keeping it going.
Yeah, and you're going to have to tell me a lot of times, you can't do this. Oh, for real, my bad.
Yeah.
But,
don't know till you don't know.
Right.
All right. 9-hour event in the sun. You just finished it. You've been serving people all day. What's your go-to? How do you relax at the end of it?
How do I relax? Think about it.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
Thinking is, I know a lot of people, it's a double-edged sword for me.
Yeah.
Of course, it can just, beat you down overthinking stuff, but literally thinking for me, that after-action review.
Yeah.
After you do something, let me think about it. Could I did it better? Could I have done it better? All those things. So thinking is a relaxation also for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on this episode. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I think that people provided a lot of valuable content, get to hear your story more, get to hear the product. And obviously, we just got to pump the product, right?
Yeah, pump
the
product.
If you got a 30-second promo, go with it.
Look here. If you've never
look
had
here.
Chillz Italian Ice,
here.
when this podcast, it's for you.
Yeah.
If you've never had Chillz Italian Ice, go on down to 1575 Fort Campbell Boulevard, Suite A. Don't worry about it. You'll see the signage. You'll see the, ice on the door, all the decals. Go in there and just try it. We got about 20 flavors.
Yeah.
Whatever you try, you're most likely going to be hooked from that end. Now, it's not my fault. I already warned you, but you will be hooked.
Yeah. Zero chance to drive by. And I tell families, we kind of live and I work in kind of Sango area. So it is really a destination choice. But I tell people it is worth the drive to make it a destination type event for your family. Stroll through downtown, go hit the splash pad, come up Fort Campbell Boulevard, hit Chillz, turn right on Warfield, head back out this way. There's lots of fun things that you can do out there. Yeah. And Chillz is one of those weekend, let's mark it on the calendar. Let's operate things around it. My kids love it. Obviously, my wife loves it. She will never turn it down.
Beautiful family too. Yeah. So I mean, it's really something that people should don't get caught up in today's thought that everything has to come to your door. Some people are it's like 15 minutes away from it and they're like, oh my God, you're on the other side of town. Like it's
worth it.
Everything isn't at your back door. We still have to travel for some things. I will make it worth your while. Our scoops are decent for the money. That's a big thing for me.
It's huge.
Because when I grew up, it was so accessible. At of course different prices for that time, but it was change almost. We could grab and go get a water ice. I try to keep it within that. A lot of people don't know. Sugar doubled in price from when I first started. It was like literally $7 something a bag for 25-pound bag. Now it's like 13 and whatnot. So even at that, I ask, you come, and the more you bring your friends, your family, you help me keep my prices low. Every tip in the bucket, you help me keep the prices for the whole community. I'm in it for business purposes, but I have a love for the product, and I want you to love the product. And so to love the product, I want you to have access, and I want your kids to have access. So that's the truth.
That's brilliant. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, hey, thanks so much for making it to the end of this episode. Chris Ham, Chillz Italian Ice. You can find him at all the great events here in Clarksville. You can find him out on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Make the drive. I promise you it will be worth it. Hey, would you share this episode? Leave us a comment. Make sure to rate or review the podcast. We'd really appreciate your feedback, and we will catch you on the next episode.